My name is Elena Maria Flores. I'm 32 years old, and my parents stole my future while I was at work. Not with a gun, not with a scream, with a pen.
À signature.
A piece of paper they forged because they thought I would never find out. The house was my grandmother's, the only thing she owned. A small bungalow in San Antonio, Texas, with a cracked driveway and a pecan tree in the back. She bought it in 1972 with money she saved from 30 years of cleaning other people's houses. She left it to me, not to my parents, not to my brother.
To me.
The will was clear. I have the original copy.
Signed.
Dated. Notarized. My grandmother's hand was shaky at the end, but her signature was real. She looked me in the eye when she signed it. This is yours, Elena. Don't let anyone take it from you. I was 22 when she died. I didn't know then that my own parents would try to prove her wrong. Before I tell you what happened, before I tell you about the knock on the door, the stranger with the keys, and the paper that saved everything, I need you to do something. Hit like if you've ever been betrayed by someone who is supposed to protect you. Subscribe if you believe that blood doesn't give anyone the right to steal. And drop a comment with your location and local time. I want to know where the fighters are watching from. Let me take you back. To the house on Laurel Street. To the woman who raised me when my parents couldn't be bothered. My grandmother, Abuela Rosa, was not a wealthy woman. She cleaned houses for a living.
6 days a week.
Sometimes 7. She came home with cracked hands and a back that never stopped hurting. But she never complained. She never asked for help. She just kept going. She raised me because my parents were too busy. My father, Carlos Flores, was a dreamer. He wanted to be a musician. He played guitar in bars and spent money he didn't have on equipment he didn't need. He was charming. Everyone liked him. But charm doesn't pay the rent. My mother, Sylvia Flores, was a realist. She worked at a department store. She came home tired and bitter. She loved me, I think. But she loved money more. Or maybe she loved the idea of not struggling. They had my brother, Diego, 2 years after me. Diego was the golden child.
The boy.
The one who could do no wrong. He dropped out of high school. He got arrested twice for petty theft. He moved back home at 25 and never left. My grandmother saw all of this. She saw how my parents ignored me. How they spent money on Diego's bail but wouldn't buy me textbooks. How they forgot my birthdays and my graduations.
So she did something.
She changed her will. You're the only one who deserves it, Mija, she told me. You're the only one who worked. The only one who helped me clean houses when your hands were too small for the bucket. The only one who sat with me when I was sick. The only one who didn't ask for anything. What about mom and dad? They'll be angry. Let them be angry. They had their chance. They made their choices. This is mine. She died 3 weeks later. Heart attack. Quiet. In her sleep. I held her hand. I was the only one there. The funeral was small. My mother cried. My father played guitar. My brother showed up late and left early. My grandmother's friends from church filled the pews. They brought casseroles and memories and kind words. After the funeral, the lawyer read the will. The house on Laurel Street went to me. The savings account, $12,000, went to me. The jewelry, the furniture, the photographs, all to me. My parents got nothing. My mother's face turned white. My father stopped breathing. My brother laughed. Not a happy laugh. A bitter one. This is a mistake, my mother said. She was confused at the end. She didn't know what she was doing. She knew exactly what she was doing, the lawyer said. I witnessed the signing. She was of sound mind. She was very clear about her intentions. We're her children. We deserve. You deserve what she decided to give you, which is nothing. My mother looked at me. Her eyes were cold. You did this. You manipulated her. I didn't manipulate anyone, Mom. I just showed up. Every day. When you were too busy to visit. When Dad was playing guitar. When Diego was in jail. I was here. That's why she left it to me. You think you're better than us? I think I loved her. And she knew it. We didn't speak for a month after that. I moved into the house on Laurel Street. It was small. 2 bedrooms. 1 bathroom. A kitchen with yellow cabinets, and a stove that leaned to the left. But it was mine. The first thing I had ever owned. I painted the walls. I fixed the leaky faucet. I planted flowers in the front yard. I made it mine. My parents called, sometimes, not to apologize, to ask for money. Elena, your father needs a new amplifier for his gigs. Elena, Diego is trying to get his life together. Can you lend him $500? Elena, we're behind on the electric bill. Can you help us out? I helped. At first. Because they were my parents. Because I felt guilty. Because I thought if I gave them enough, they would finally see me. They didn't. They just asked for more. I stopped after the third request. I told them no. My mother called me selfish. My father called me cold. My brother called me a bitch. I didn't care. I had my grandmother's house. I had her memory. I had her love. Or so I thought. The knock came on a Tuesday. I was at work. I managed a small bookstore. Nothing fancy, but it paid the bills. I was in the back, unpacking boxes, when my phone rang. A number I didn't recognize. Hello? Is this Elena Flores? Yes. This is Marcus from Lone Star Property Management. I'm calling about the house on Laurel Street. The new owner has requested that you vacate the premises by the end of the week. I laughed. I thought it was a joke.
I'm sorry.
There must be a mistake. I own that house. According to our records, the property was sold 3 weeks ago to a Mr. and Mrs. Thompson. The deed was transferred. We have all the paperwork. That's impossible. I have the deed. I have the will. I'm just telling you what our records show, ma'am. You'll need to contact the county clerk's office for more information. He hung up. I stood in the back of the bookstore, holding my phone, staring at the wall. The house was sold. My house. My grandmother's house. Without my knowledge. Without my signature. I drove to Laurel Street. The locks were changed. A moving truck was in the driveway. A woman I didn't know was carrying boxes through the front door. Excuse me, I said. This is my house.
The woman looked at me, confused.
We just bought it. 3 weeks ago. From a Carlos and Sylvia Flores. My parents. They didn't own this house. I did.
I don't know anything about that.
We have a deed. We have a title. We have a notarized signature.
A signature?
Whose signature?
Yours. Elena Flores.
My blood went cold. That's not possible. I didn't sign anything. Well, someone did. You'll have to take it up with them. Or with a lawyer. We're just the new owners. She went back inside. She closed the door that used to be mine. I sat on the curb, across the street, staring at my grandmother's house, at the pecan tree, at the yellow cabinets I could no longer see. My parents had forged my signature. They had sold my inheritance. And they had taken everything. I sat on that curb for 2 hours. The sun went down. The streetlights came on. The new owners, the Thompsons, finished unloading their moving truck. A couch. A television. A dining table that looked nothing like my grandmother's. They didn't look at me. They didn't ask if I was okay. They just carried their boxes inside and closed the door. I didn't blame them. They didn't know. They had bought a house in good faith. They had paid money, my parents' money, stolen money, for a home they thought was legally theirs. The fault wasn't theirs. The fault was the woman who gave birth to me and the man who promised to love me. I called my mother. She didn't answer. I called again. Voicemail. I called a third time. She picked up.
Elena.
It's late. You sold my house. Silence. You sold my grandmother's house. The one she left to me. The one you had no right to sell. You forged my signature. I don't know what you're talking about. Don't lie to me. The new owners told me. Carlos and Sylvia Flores. You and Dad. You sold it 3 weeks ago. You took the money. And you forged my name on the deed. We didn't forge anything. You signed it. Don't you remember? You came to the title company. You were in a hurry. You said you needed the money. I almost laughed. The audacity. The confidence of her lie. I was at work 3 weeks ago. Every day. I have time cards. I have coworkers. I have security footage from the bookstore. I never went to any title company. I never signed any papers. You did it. You or Dad. Or both of you. Elena, listen to me.
No.
You listened to me. That house was all I had. It was all Abuela had. She cleaned other people's floors so she could have a roof over her head.
And you stole it.
You stole it because you wanted money. Because Diego needed bail. Because Dad wanted a new guitar. Because you can't manage your own lives without taking from someone else. My mother was quiet. I could hear her breathing.
Shallow. Fast. You don't understand.
We were in trouble. Your father lost his gigs. Diego had legal fees. We didn't know where to turn. So you turned to fraud. You turned to stealing from your own daughter. We were going to pay you back. With what? You have nothing. You've always had nothing. Not because you're unlucky. Because you're irresponsible. Because you make bad choices. Because you take the easy way out. That's not fair. Fair? You want to talk about fair? Fair would have been asking me for help. Fair would have been telling me the truth. Fair would have been not forging my name on a legal document that could send you to prison. Silence. Longer this time. What are you going to do? She asked.
Her voice was different now. Softer. Scared.
I'm going to get my house back. One way or another. You can't. The sale is final. The Thompsons own it now. The sale is final because you lied. Because you committed a crime. And I have proof. I have Abuela's will. I have the original deed. I have my signature on file at the bank. I have witnesses who know I was at work on the day you say I signed those papers. I have everything I need to prove you stole from me. Elena, please. We're your parents. You can't send us to jail. Watch me. I hung up. My hands were shaking. My heart was pounding. I had never spoken to my mother like that before. I had never threatened her. I had never even raised my voice. But she had crossed a line. She had taken something that wasn't hers. Something that couldn't be replaced. Something that my grandmother had sacrificed decades to own. I wasn't going to let her get away with it.
I didn't sleep that night.
I sat in my rented room, a small bedroom in a shared house on the other side of San Antonio, and I made a plan. First, I needed a lawyer. Second, I needed evidence. Third, I needed to find out exactly how much money my parents had made from the sale. Fourth, I needed to find out where the money had gone. I started with the county clerk's office. The next morning, I called in sick to work. I drove downtown. I stood in line for 45 minutes. I asked for the property records for 1423 Laurel Street. The clerk pulled the file. She handed me a thick folder. Inside was the deed. The transfer of ownership from Carlos and Sylvia Flores to Robert and Linda Thompson. The sale price, $187,000. And attached to the deed was a signature page. My signature. Or what was supposed to be my signature. I stared at it. It was close. Whoever had signed it had practiced. But it wasn't mine. The loop on the E was wrong. The at the end of my name slanted the wrong direction. The pen pressure was heavier than mine. This isn't my signature, I told the clerk. She looked at me.
Bored.
Uninterested. You'll need to file a dispute. There's a form. You'll need to provide evidence. What kind of evidence? A notarized statement. Copies of your actual signature. Witness statements. Whatever you have. How long does the dispute take? Depends.
Could be weeks.
Could be months. Could be longer if the other party contests it. The other party. My parents. I took the form. I sat in my car and filled it out. Then I drove to the bank. The bank manager's name was Mrs. Delgado. She was a kind woman. Older. Gray hair. Reading glasses on a chain around her neck. How can I help you, dear? I need copies of my signature. From my accounts. From the last 5 years. As many as you can find. That's an unusual request. May I ask why? My parents forged my signature on a property deed. They sold my house without my permission. I need to prove that the signature on the deed isn't mine. Her face softened. I'm so sorry. That's terrible. It's family. Sometimes family is the worst. She printed the signatures.
Dozens of them.
From deposit slips. From account applications. From withdrawal forms. Every one of them matched. Same loop on the E. Same slant on the Same pen pressure. I put them in a folder. Next to the form. Next to my grandmother's will. next to the original deed that my parents had somehow gotten their hands on. Is there anything else I can do for you? Mrs. Delgado asked. Do you have security footage from 3 weeks ago? I need to prove I was here. At the bank. Not at a title company. I can request it. It might take a few days. I'll wait. While I waited for the footage, I called a lawyer. His name was Mr. Henderson. He was 62 years old. He had been practicing real estate law for 35 years. He had seen everything.
Or so he said.
Forged signatures are serious, he said, leaning back in his leather chair. Felony's serious. We're not talking about a small claims court situation. We're talking about potential jail time. I don't necessarily want them to go to jail. I want my house back. The two are not mutually exclusive. If they forged your signature, they committed a crime. The state may decide to press charges regardless of what you want. I understand.
Do you?
Because once the legal system gets involved, you lose control. The prosecutor decides whether to file charges.
Not you.
Your parents could be looking at prison time, especially if the sale amount is over a certain threshold. It was $187,000. He whistled. That's well over the felony limit in Texas. We're talking about 2 to 10 years. Possibly more if there are other factors. I sat in his office. The air conditioning hummed. The clock on the wall ticked. I don't want to destroy my family. They destroyed your family when they forged your signature. You're just holding them accountable. That's easy for you to say. You're not the one who has to look at them across a courtroom.
No.
But I've represented a lot of people in your position. And the ones who walk away with their heads held high are the ones who don't let guilt stop them from doing what's right. I signed the retainer agreement. I gave him a check for $2,500. It was almost all of my savings. But I didn't care. This wasn't about money. This was about justice. This was about my grandmother. This was about proving that I wasn't invisible, that I mattered, that you couldn't steal from me and walk away. The next day, I drove to my parents' house. It was a rental, a small duplex on the south side of town. The grass was overgrown. The paint was peeling. There was a broken bicycle in the front yard. My father's truck was in the driveway. My brother's car was parked on the street. I knocked on the door. My father answered. He looked older than I remembered.
Grayer. Thinner.
His eyes were bloodshot.
Elena.
Your mother said you might come. I need to talk to both of you. She's not here. She's at work. Then I'll talk to you. He stepped aside. I walked in. The house smelled like cigarette smoke and old food. Dishes were piled in the sink. Laundry was scattered on the couch. My brother Diego was sitting in a recliner, watching television. He didn't look at me.
Diego.
Nice to see you too. Whatever. I sat down across from my father. He sat on the couch, pushing a pile of laundry aside. I've hired a lawyer, I said. I'm filing a dispute. I'm going to get the house back. You can't. The sale is final. The sale is final because you forged my signature. That's a felony, Dad. 2 to 10 years in prison. His face went pale. We didn't forge anything. Don't lie to me.
Not now.
I have the signature from the deed. I have my actual signature from the bank. They don't match. I have witnesses who can confirm I was at work on the day the deed was signed. I have security footage from the bookstore. I have everything I need to prove you stole from me. He looked at his hands that used to play guitar, his hands that used to hold me when I was little. We needed the money, Elena. We didn't know what else to do. You could have asked me. You could have told me the truth. You could have come to me like I was your daughter, not your victim. You would have said no. Of course I would have said no. It was my house, my inheritance, the only thing Abuela left me. But at least I would have known. At least I would have had a choice. You took that choice away from me. I'm sorry. Sorry doesn't give me back my house. Sorry doesn't unforge my signature. Sorry doesn't make me trust you again. Diego turned off the television.
He looked at me.
You're really going to send them to jail? I'm not sending anyone anywhere.
The state will decide that.
I'm just trying to get back what's mine. You're going to destroy the family. What family? The family that ignored me? The family that stole from me? The family that spent my inheritance on your bail and Dad's guitars? That's not a family. That's a crime syndicate. Diego stood up. You're a bitch, you know that? And you're a thief. At least I'm honest about who I am. He walked out of the room, slammed his bedroom door. My father sat on the couch, staring at the floor. Where's the money, Dad? What money? The $187,000 from the sale. Where is it? He didn't answer.
Dad.
Where is the money? Some of it went to Diego's legal fees. Some of it went to your mother's credit card debt. Some of it went to a new truck for me. Some of it we spent. How much is left? Maybe 40,000. Maybe? You don't know? Your mother handles the money. Of course she does. I stood up. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to tell Mom to call me. Tonight. And you're going to tell her that if she doesn't cooperate, I'm going to the district attorney's office tomorrow morning. I'm going to file a police report. And I'm going to let the legal system handle it. Elena, please. This is not a negotiation, Dad. This is me giving you a chance to do the right thing. For once in your lives. I walked out.
I didn't look back.
My mother called at 9 p.m. Your father told me what you said.
Good.
Then you know what's at stake. You wouldn't really send us to jail. We're your parents. You're the people who stole my house. That's what I know you as now. Elena, we made a mistake. A terrible mistake. But we're still your family. Family doesn't do what you did. Family doesn't forge signatures. Family doesn't sell your inheritance and spend the money on trucks and lawyers for a brother who never worked a day in his life. What do you want us to do? I want you to tell the truth. I want you to sign an affidavit admitting that you forged my signature. I want you to give back the money that's left. And I want you to never ask me for anything again. And if we do that, you won't press charges? I can't promise that. The district attorney may decide to press charges regardless. But I can promise that I won't be the one pushing for it. I can promise that I'll tell them you cooperated. That's the best I can do. That's not good enough. It's better than you deserve. She was quiet for a long time. I'll talk to your father. You have until Friday. After that, I file the police report. You've become very hard, Elena.
No, Mom.
I've become strong. There's a difference. Hard is what happens when you stop feeling. Strong is what happens when you feel everything and you don't let it break you. I hung up. Friday came faster than I expected. The days in between were a blur of waiting. Waiting for my mother to call. Waiting for my lawyer to find something. Waiting for the security footage from the bank. Waiting for the other shoe to drop. I didn't sleep. I didn't eat much. I went to work. I smiled at customers. I shelved books. I pretended that my world wasn't collapsing around me. And every night, I went back to my rented room and stared at the ceiling and wondered if I was doing the right thing. My mother didn't call on Tuesday, or Wednesday, or Thursday. I started to think she was calling my bluff, that she didn't believe I would actually file a police report, that she thought I was still the same Elena who forgave them for forgotten birthdays and stolen savings and years of being invisible. She was wrong. On Friday morning, I drove to the district attorney's office. The building was gray, concrete, fluorescent lights, the kind of place where hope went to die. I sat in the waiting room for an hour, filling out forms, showing ID, explaining my situation to 3 different people who all looked at me with the same expression, pity mixed with exhaustion. Finally, I was led to a small office. A woman named Detective Marlene Ortiz sat across from me. She was in her 40s. Short hair. No-nonsense eyes. She had been doing this job for a long time. Ms. Flores, I've reviewed your preliminary statement. You're alleging that your parents forged your signature on a property deed and sold your inherited home without your consent. Yes. And you have evidence? I have my grandmother's will, the original deed, copies of my actual signature from the bank. A witness statement from my employer confirming I was at work on the day the deed was supposedly signed. And I'm waiting for security footage from the bank to confirm my location. That's a solid start. Do you know who specifically forged the signature? My mother, Sylvia Flores. Or my father, Carlos Flores. Or both. I don't know which one actually signed it, but they both benefited from the sale. And your brother? Diego Flores? He didn't sign anything as far as I know. But he received money from the sale. My father admitted that some of the money went to Diego's legal fees. Legal fees for what? He's been in trouble with the law.
Petty theft.
Possession. I don't know the details. Detective Ortiz made notes. Her pen scratched against the paper. The sound was loud in the small room. This is a serious allegation, Miss Flores. Forgery is a felony. If we pursue this, your parents could face significant jail time. Are you prepared for that? I don't want them to go to jail. I want my house back. Those two things may not be mutually exclusive. The state has an interest in prosecuting crimes, regardless of what the victim wants. If we find sufficient evidence, we may move forward with charges even if you ask us not to. I understand. My lawyer explained that. And you're still willing to proceed? I'm still willing to tell the truth. What happens after that is out of my hands. She looked at me for a long moment. Then she nodded. I'll assign an investigator to your case. We'll need to interview your parents. We'll need to obtain the original deed and the signature page. We'll need to get a handwriting expert to compare the signatures. This will take time. How much time?
Weeks.
Maybe months. These things move slowly. In the meantime, I don't have a house. I don't have a home. I'm renting a room from strangers. I understand. But there's nothing I can do to speed up the process. The law moves at its own pace. I stood up. I shook her hand. I walked out of the gray building and into the gray sky. It was starting to rain. That afternoon, my mother finally called.
Elena.
I heard you went to the DA's office. News travels fast. Your father has a friend who works in the building. He saw you. Good. Then you know I'm serious. We want to make a deal. What kind of deal? We'll give you the money that's left.
$42,000.
And we'll sign something saying we made a mistake. But you have to drop the charges. You have to tell the DA that you changed your mind. That's not how it works, Mom. I don't control the DA. Once they decide to pursue a case, it's out of my hands. Then you need to convince them not to pursue it. Tell them you were confused. Tell them you remembered signing the papers after all. You want me to lie? You want me to commit perjury? To protect you from a crime you actually committed? We're your parents, Elena. We gave you life. And then you spent 32 years taking from me. Taking my time. Taking my money. Taking my inheritance. Taking my house. When does it stop, Mom? When do I get to stop being the one who sacrifices? She didn't answer. I'm not going to lie for you. I'm not going to commit a crime to cover up your crime. I'm going to tell the truth. And you're going to have to live with the consequences. You're going to destroy this family. You destroyed it when you forged my name. I'm just refusing to pretend it didn't happen. I hung up. The next week was quiet. Too quiet. My mother didn't call. My father didn't text. My brother didn't send any angry messages. It was like they had disappeared. Or like they were waiting for something. I didn't trust the silence. The silence in my family was never empty.
It was always full of something. Plans. Lies. Schemes.
I called Mr. Henderson, my lawyer. Anything new on your end? I asked. I received a call from the Thompsons' attorney. The couple who bought your house. They're nervous. They didn't know about the forgery. They're worried they might lose the property. Will they lose it? If we can prove the signature was forged, the sale is invalid. The property would revert to you. The Thompsons would have to pursue legal action against your parents to recover their money. That's not their fault. They didn't know. I know, but the law is clear. A forged deed is void. You can't sell what you don't own. And your parents didn't own that house. You did. What are the Thompsons saying? They're considering their options. They may try to negotiate with you, offer to buy the house from you directly. Or they may walk away and try to get their money back from your parents. My parents don't have the money. They spent most of it. Then the Thompsons may be out of luck. But that's not your problem. Your problem is getting your house back. Everything else is secondary. He was right. But I still felt bad for the Thompsons. They had done nothing wrong. They had just wanted a home. And now they were caught in the middle of my family's mess. The security footage from the bank arrived on Wednesday. Mrs. Delgado, the bank manager, had kept her word. She sent me a USB drive with 3 weeks' worth of footage from the lobby cameras. I watched it at home on my laptop. Fast-forwarding through hours of nothing. Customers coming and going. Tellers smiling. People depositing checks and withdrawing cash and complaining about fees. And then I saw myself. On the day my parents claimed I had signed the deed, a Tuesday in September, I was at the bank. At 11:34 a.m., depositing my paycheck, talking to a teller named Rosa, smiling, leaving. The timestamp was clear. The date was clear. My face was clear. I was not at a title company. I was not signing away my grandmother's house. I was at work, well, at the bank during my lunch break doing something completely ordinary. I copied the file. I sent it to Mr. Henderson. I sent it to Detective Ortiz. I saved a copy on my phone, my laptop, and a backup drive. This was proof. Hard proof. The kind that couldn't be argued with.
My father called me that night.
His voice was different.
Softer.
Almost broken.
Anna.
I need to tell you something. About the house. About the signature.
I'm listening.
Your mother didn't forge your name. I did. I closed my eyes. She didn't want to. She was scared. But I told her it would be fine. I told her you would never find out. I told her we would pay you back. You forged my signature, Dad. You sat at a table somewhere and wrote my name on a piece of paper that sold my house. I practiced for weeks. I traced your signature from an old birthday card. I got it close enough that the notary didn't question it. The notary should have asked for ID. The notary should have watched you sign. The notary is also at fault. The notary was a friend of your mother's. She looked the other way. She didn't ask questions. So multiple people conspired to steal my house. I'm not proud of what I did.
I'm ashamed.
I've been ashamed every day since. Then why did you do it? Because I was desperate. Because Diego was looking at serious jail time. Because your mother was going to lose the house we were renting. Because I didn't know where else to turn. And because I thought I convinced myself that you would understand. That you would forgive us. That you wouldn't want your own parents to go to prison. You thought I would understand you stealing my inheritance? You thought I would be okay with you forging my name? You thought I would just let it go. I thought you loved us. I did love you. I still love you. But love isn't supposed to be a weapon you use against me. Love isn't supposed to be an excuse for theft. Love isn't supposed to mean that I have to sacrifice everything while you take and take and take. I know I was wrong. I'm telling you the truth now because I want to make it right.
How?
How are you going to make it right? I'll confess. To the police.
To the DA.
I'll tell them everything. I'll take full responsibility. Your mother had nothing to do with the forgery. She knew about it after the fact, but she didn't sign anything. She didn't plan it. That was all me. You're lying to protect her. I'm telling the truth. For once in my life, I'm telling the truth. I didn't know if I believed him. My father had lied to me before. Small lies. Convenient lies. Lies to get out of trouble. Lies to avoid responsibility. But this felt different. His voice was different. He sounded like a man who had finally run out of road. If you're serious, you'll go to the DA yourself. You'll tell them what you did. You'll cooperate fully. And you'll give back every penny you can. I will. I promise. Your promises don't mean much to me anymore, Dad. But I'll give you a chance to prove me wrong. Thank you, Elena. Don't thank me. Just do it.
He didn't go to the DA. Not that week.
Not the next. Not the week after. I waited. I called him. He didn't answer. I called my mother. She said he was thinking about it. I called Diego. He laughed at me. You really thought Dad would turn himself in? You're dumber than I thought. He said he would. He says a lot of things. He told me he was going to buy me a car last year. I'm still waiting. This isn't a car, Diego. This is a felony. Then prove it.
Oh, wait.
You can't. Because Dad didn't sign anything. Mom didn't sign anything. You're just making all of this up because you're bitter that Abuela didn't leave you more. I have proof. I have footage. I have signatures. I have everything. Then why haven't they been arrested yet? He had a point. The investigation was moving slowly.
Too slowly.
Detective Ortiz had other cases. Other crimes. Other victims. My parents weren't a priority. I called Mr. Henderson. Why is this taking so long? These things take time. The DA's office is understaffed. They're prioritizing violent crimes. Property crimes, even felonies, often fall to the bottom of the list. So, my parents just get away with it? They stole my house and nothing happens. I didn't say that. I said it takes time. In the meantime, we can pursue a civil case. Sue your parents for the value of the house. Get a judgment against them. Even if they don't have the money now, the judgment will follow them. Wages can be garnished. Assets can be seized. They don't have any assets. They rent. They have a truck that's falling apart. They have credit card debt. Then you may not be able to collect, but the judgment will still be on the record. It will affect their credit. It will make it harder for them to borrow money. It will follow them for years. That's not justice. That's a slap on the wrist. Justice is slow, Miss Flores. And sometimes it's incomplete. But it's better than nothing. I filed the civil suit in November. The paperwork was thick. The language was dense. I didn't understand half of it. But Mr. Henderson did. He filed it in Behar County Court. He named my parents as defendants. He asked for $187,000, the full value of the house, plus legal fees and court costs. My parents were served on a Tuesday. My mother called me screaming, "You sued us? Your own parents? You're taking us to court. You left me no choice. We don't have $187,000.
You know that.
We have nothing." Then you shouldn't have sold a house that didn't belong to you. Your father is going to lose his job. He can't work with this hanging over his head. He should have thought about that before he forged my signature. You're a monster, Elena. You're a cold, heartless monster. I learned from the best, Mom. I hung up. My hands were shaking. My heart was pounding. I had never been called a monster before. I had never thought of myself as one. But maybe she was right. Maybe I was being cruel. Maybe I should have just let it go. Maybe I should have accepted the $40,000 and moved on with my life. But then I thought about my grandmother, about her cracked hands, about her aching back, about the 30 years she spent cleaning other people's houses so she could have a roof over her head, about the way she looked at me when she signed the will.
This is yours, Elena.
Don't let anyone take it from you. I wasn't letting anyone take it. Not even my parents. Not even if it made me a monster. December came. The holidays. The worst time of year for someone who didn't have a family anymore. I spent Thanksgiving alone. I ate takeout Chinese food in my rented room and watched old movies on my laptop. I didn't call my parents. They didn't call me. Diego sent me a text message on Thanksgiving night. "Hope you're happy. Mom hasn't stopped crying all day." I didn't respond. I thought about responding. I thought about telling him that I hadn't stopped crying either, that I had spent years crying, that the tears had dried up and now there was just a hollow space where my heart used to be. But I didn't, because he wouldn't understand. He had never understood. He had never been the one who sacrificed. He had never been the invisible daughter. He had never been the one who cleaned houses with Abuela while he was out stealing cars. He didn't know what it was like to be me, and he never would. The breakthrough came in January. Detective Ortiz called me on a cold Monday morning. "Ms. Flores, we have the handwriting analysis back. And the signature on the deed is not a match for your known signatures. The expert says there's a 99.7% probability that it was written by someone else." That's good. It's more than good. It's enough for an arrest warrant. We're moving forward. You're arresting my parents? We're arresting your father, Carlos Flores. The evidence points to him as the primary forger. Your mother may face charges as an accessory, but that will depend on her level of involvement. What about the notary? The one who looked the other way? She's being investigated as well. Notarizing a forged document is a crime. She could lose her license. She could face charges. When are you making the arrest? Within the week. I wanted to let you know before it happened, so you weren't caught off guard. Thank you. I'm sorry you have to go through this. It's never easy when it's family.
No.
It's not. I didn't tell my parents. I didn't warn them. I didn't give them a heads up. Part of me wanted to. Part of me wanted to call my father and tell him to run. But I didn't. Because running wouldn't solve anything. Because he had made his choices. Because he needed to face the consequences. The arrest happened on a Thursday. I wasn't there. I didn't want to be. I heard about it from my mother. She called me at 9 p.m. She was hysterical,
crying,
screaming, barely able to form words. They took him. The police came to the house. They put him in handcuffs. They took him to jail. In front of everyone. In front of the neighbors. In front of Diego. In front of me. I know, Mom. You knew? You knew this was going to happen. The detective told me. They had a warrant. And you didn't warn us? You didn't say anything? What was I supposed to say? Dad, the police are coming. You should run? He committed a crime, Mom. He forged my signature. He stole my house. He needs to face the consequences. He's your father. He's a thief. Those two things are not mutually exclusive. She was quiet for a moment. Then she spoke again.
Her voice was smaller now. Broken.
What are we supposed to do? How are we supposed to live without him? The same way I lived without you. One day at a time. You're enjoying this, aren't you? You're happy that he's suffering. I'm not happy, Mom. I'm not happy at all.
Ian said, I'm angry. I'm exhausted.
But I'm not happy. And I won't be happy until I get my house back. And maybe not even then. The house. It's always about the house with you.
No, Mom.
It's about my grandmother. It's about the 30 years she spent cleaning other people's floors. It's about the way she loved me when you didn't. It's about the only thing she had to give. That's what it's about. The house is just the symbol. She didn't respond. She just cried. I let her cry. I didn't hang up. I didn't comfort her. I just listened. After a while, the crying stopped. What happens now? She asked. Now we wait. He'll have a hearing. He'll get a lawyer. He'll plead guilty, or not guilty. There will be a trial. It will take months, maybe longer. And if he pleads guilty, then he'll be sentenced. Probably probation. Maybe jail time. It depends on the judge. He can't go to jail. He's 60 years old. His health is bad. Then he should have thought about that before he committed a felony. You're so cold. I'm not cold, Mom. I'm done. There's a difference. I hung up. The weeks after my father's arrest were the strangest of my life. Not because I was sad. Not because I was relieved. Because I felt nothing. A vast, empty nothing. Like someone had scooped out the inside of my chest and left me hollow. I went to work. I came home. I ate when I remembered. I slept when I couldn't stay awake any longer. I answered calls from Mr. Henderson. I gave statements to Detective Ortiz. I went through the motions of a life that didn't feel like mine. My mother called every day. Sometimes twice. Sometimes 3 times. Elena, his lawyer, says they can make a deal. He'll plead guilty to a misdemeanor. He won't go to prison. The DA won't agree to that. It's a felony. The amount is too high. What if we give back the money? All of it? What if we sell everything we have? You don't have enough. You spent most of it. Then we'll make payments. We'll give you $100 a month. 200. Whatever we can. That's not how it works, Mom. The state is pressing charges.
Not me.
I can't tell them what to do. You can tell them you forgive us. You can tell them you don't want to pursue it. I can't. Because I don't forgive you. And I do want to pursue it. She would cry. I would wait. She would hang up. I would stare at the wall.
Repeat.
Diego came to see me in February. He showed up at my rented room unannounced. I opened the door, and there he was. My brother. The golden child. The one who had never worked for anything. The one who had taken and taken and taken. He looked different. Thinner. His eyes were red. His hands were shaking. Can I come in? What do you want, Diego? To talk. Just to talk. I stepped aside. He walked in. He looked around at the small room. The single bed. The folding table. The hot plate on the counter. The life I had been reduced to. This is where you're living? This is where I'm living. It's a dump. It's what I can afford. Because I don't have a house anymore. Because Mom and Dad sold it. He sat on the edge of my bed. He put his head in his hands. I didn't know they were going to do it. Not at first. Mom told me after. She said they were going to fix everything. That we would have money. That we could pay off my legal fees. That we could start over. And you believed her? I wanted to believe her. I wanted to believe that someone could fix my mess. I've been messing up my whole life. And every time, they've bailed me out. Every time, they've made it better. I thought this time would be the same. But it wasn't.
No.
It wasn't. This time, they stole from you. And you're not letting it go.
No.
I'm not. He looked up at me. His eyes were wet.
I'm sorry, Elena.
I'm sorry for everything. For being the favorite. For taking all the money. For never saying thank you. For letting you be invisible while I took up all the space. Why are you saying this now? Because Dad is in jail. Because Mom can't stop crying. Because I'm finally realizing that I'm part of the reason this happened. If I hadn't gotten into trouble, they wouldn't have needed the money. If I hadn't been such a screw-up, they wouldn't have stolen from you. That's not an excuse, Diego. You didn't force them to forge my signature. They made that choice. They could have let you face the consequences of your own actions. They chose not to. I know, but I still feel responsible. Good. You should feel responsible. You should feel something. Maybe it will make you different. He stood up. I'm going to testify. At the trial. I'm going to tell the truth about everything. About the money. About the legal fees. About what they did. You're going to testify against Mom and Dad? I'm going to tell the truth. If that means testifying against them, then yes. They're going to hate you. They already hate me. They just don't know it yet. They hate me for being a disappointment. They hate me for costing them everything. At least now I can do something right. He walked to the door.
He paused. I'm sorry, Elena.
I really am. I know, Diego. Does that mean you forgive me? It means I hear you. Forgiveness is going to take a lot longer. He nodded. He left. I stood in my small room, staring at the door he had closed behind him. My brother had apologized. My father had confessed. My mother was broken. And I still didn't have my house back. The trial was set for March. 6 months after I found out about the forgery. 6 months of waiting. 6 months of legal fees. 6 months of sleepless nights. The courthouse was downtown. Old. Stone. The kind of building that made you feel small when you walked through the doors. I sat in the front row. Behind the prosecutor's table. Mr. Henderson sat next to me. Detective Ortiz was in the back of the room. My mother sat on the other side of the aisle. She was alone. Diego wasn't there. Not yet. He had been called as a witness. He would testify later. My father was brought in wearing an orange jumpsuit. His hands were cuffed in front of him. His hair was gray. His face was pale. He looked like a stranger. He didn't look at me. He didn't look at my mother. He just stared at the floor as the bailiff led him to the defense table. The judge was a woman. Judge Catherine Webb. She had been on the bench for 20 years. She had seen everything. Her face gave nothing away. Case number 2024 CR 1123. The State of Texas versus Carlos Flores. Charges: forgery of a financial instrument, a second-degree felony. How does the defendant plead? My father's lawyer stood up. A man in a cheap suit named Mr. Buckley. Not guilty, Your Honor. Not guilty. After everything. After the confession. After the evidence. After the handwriting analysis. After he told me he would take responsibility. Not guilty. I felt something snap inside me. Something I didn't know was still there. A thread. The last thread connecting me to him. It broke. The prosecution presented its case. Detective Ortiz took the stand. She explained the investigation. The deed. The forged signature. The handwriting analysis. In your expert opinion, who signed the deed? The prosecutor asked. The signature does not match any of the known signatures of Elena Flores. It does, however, bear similarities to the handwriting of the defendant, Carlos Flores. Similarities. The formation of the letter E, the pressure points, the slant. They are consistent with someone who practiced replicating another person's signature. The prosecutor introduced the security footage from the bank. The footage of me depositing my paycheck on the day the deed was supposedly signed. Miss Flores, can you confirm that this is you?
Yes.
That's me. At the bank. On September 14th. At 11:34 a.m. And where were you at 2 p.m. that same day? At work. At the bookstore. I have time cards. I have witness statements from my coworkers. Were you at a title company signing a deed?
No.
I was not. The prosecutor nodded. He sat down. My father's lawyer stood up for cross-examination. Miss Flores, isn't it true that you had a difficult relationship with your parents? Objection, the prosecutor said. Relevance. Overruled, the judge said. Answer the question.
Yes.
I had a difficult relationship with my parents. Isn't it true that you were angry with them for not supporting you financially? I was angry with them for many reasons. Not supporting me financially was the least of them. Isn't it true that you threatened to destroy your parents if they didn't give you money?
No.
That's not true. Isn't it true that you told your mother, and I quote, "I'm going to take everything you have"? I never said that. So your mother is lying? My mother has a history of lying to protect herself and my brother. So yes, it's possible she's lying. The lawyer sat down. He didn't have more questions, but the damage was done. He had planted the seed of doubt, the idea that I was a bitter daughter out for revenge. My mother took the stand. She was sworn in. She sat in the witness box. Her hands were shaking. Mrs. Flores, did you forge your daughter's signature on the deed to 1423 Laurel Street?
No.
I did not. Did your husband, Carlos Flores, forge your daughter's signature? She looked at my father. He looked at the floor. I don't know. You don't know? You were present when the deed was signed. You were present when the notary stamped the document. Are you telling this court that you don't know who signed your daughter's name? I wasn't paying attention. There was a lot going on. I was stressed. I don't remember. You don't remember?
No.
The prosecutor's voice was cold. Mrs. Flores, you and your husband received $187,000 from the sale of a property you did not own. Is that correct? We thought we owned it. There was a misunderstanding. A misunderstanding? Your mother-in-law left a will. That will was read in open court. You were present. You heard the lawyer say that the property belonged to your daughter. You knew you did not own it. I don't remember that. You don't remember your own mother-in-law's will reading? It was a long time ago. I was upset. She had just died. The prosecutor paused. He let the silence hang. Mrs. Flores, did you spend any of the money from the sale on yourself? Some of it. How much? I don't know. A few thousand. On credit card debt. On groceries. On bills. And the rest? It went to my son, Diego, for his legal fees. And to my husband, for a truck. And to your daughter?
Elena?
Did any of the money go to her?
No.
So you and your husband sold her inheritance, spent the money on yourselves and your son, and gave her nothing. We were going to pay her back. But you didn't. We haven't had time. It's been 6 months. My mother started crying. The same performance tears I had seen 100 times.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
I didn't mean to hurt anyone. The prosecutor sat down. My father's lawyer stood up. Mrs. Flores, isn't it true that your daughter has been estranged from the family for years?
Yes.
She doesn't talk to us much. Isn't it true that she's been angry and resentful since she was a teenager? She's always been difficult. And isn't it true that she threatened to ruin you if you didn't give her money?
Yes.
She said that. I stood up. That's a lie. The judge banged her gavel. Miss Flores, sit down. You will have your turn to speak. Do not interrupt again. I sat down. My hands were shaking. My face was hot. My mother had lied. Under oath. She had lied to protect herself and my father. She had painted me as the villain, the bitter daughter, the one who was always angry. And the jury was watching, taking notes, forming opinions. Diego was called to the stand. He walked to the witness box. He was wearing a clean shirt. His hair was combed. He looked nervous. Mr. Flores, do you know who forged your sister's signature on the deed to 1423 Laurel Street? Yes. Who? My father, Carlos Flores. My mother gasped. My father's head snapped up. How do you know? He told me. After the sale. He was drunk. He said he had fixed everything. He said he had taken care of the money problem. He said he had signed Elena's name because she would never know. Did your mother know about the forgery? She knew after. She didn't stop him. She didn't report it. She just took the money. And you? What did you do with the money you received? I used it for legal fees. For a lawyer. For a plea deal. I was in trouble. I had been arrested for possession. My parents bailed me out. They paid for my lawyer. They used the money from the house. Did you know the money came from the sale of your sister's inheritance? Not at first. Later. When my father told me. And what did you do when you found out? Nothing. I didn't do anything. I was ashamed. I was scared. I didn't know how to make it right. What about now? Are you trying to make it right? I'm here. I'm telling the truth. That's all I can do. The prosecutor sat down. My father's lawyer stood up. He looked angry. Mr. Flores, isn't it true that you have a criminal record? Yes. Isn't it true that you've been arrested multiple times for theft and possession? Yes. Isn't it true that you're currently on probation? Yes. And isn't it true that you're testifying against your father in exchange for leniency in your own case?
No.
No one offered me anything. I'm testifying because it's the right thing to do. The right thing to do? You, who have never done the right thing in your life. You expect this jury to believe you. Objection, the prosecutor said, badgering the witness. Sustained, the judge said. The lawyer sat down, but his words hung in the air. Diego was a criminal, a liar, a thief. Why should anyone believe him? My father did not take the stand. His lawyer advised him not to. It was his right. The Fifth Amendment. He didn't have to testify against himself. But the jury knew. They knew he was hiding. They knew he was afraid. The defense called one witness. The notary. A woman named Mrs. Pena. She was in her 60s. She looked scared. Mrs. Pena, did you notarize the deed for 1423 Laurel Street? Yes. Did you witness the signature of Elena Flores? I don't remember. You don't remember? You notarized a document transferring ownership of a property worth nearly $200,000. And you don't remember who signed it. There were a lot of documents. A lot of signatures. I was busy. Were you a friend of the Flores family? I knew Sylvia. From church. Did Sylvia ask you to notarize the deed without verifying the signer's identity? I assumed it was Elena. They said it was Elena. You assumed. You didn't ask for identification.
No.
Did you see Elena Flores sign the deed? I don't remember. The prosecutor cross-examined her. Mrs. Pena, you've been a notary for 20 years. You know that the law requires you to verify the identity of the signer. You know that notarizing a document without proper identification is a crime. And you did it anyway. Is that correct? I made a mistake. You made a mistake that cost a young woman her inheritance. That's not a mistake. That's negligence. That's malpractice. That's a crime. Mrs. Pena started crying.
I'm sorry.
I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to hurt anyone. The prosecutor sat down. The judge looked at the clock. We'll recess for the day. Closing arguments will begin tomorrow at 9 a.m. She banged her gavel. That night, I couldn't sleep. I sat in my rented room, staring at the wall, going over everything that had happened in the courtroom. My mother had lied. My father had hidden. Diego had told the truth, but no one believed him because of his past. The notary had admitted her negligence, but it didn't feel like justice. I needed something. Something that would change everything. Something that would make the jury see the truth. And then I remembered. The last paper. The one my grandmother had given me. The one I had hidden. The one I had almost forgotten. I got up. I went to my closet. I pulled out an old shoebox. The one I had kept for years. The one with my grandmother's things.
Her rosary.
Her wedding photo. Her birth certificate. And at the bottom of the box, folded in half, was a letter. Notarized.
Signed.
Dated. My grandmother's final wishes. Written in her own hand. I read it. My hands were shaking. And then I smiled. For the first time in months, I smiled. The next morning, I walked into the courthouse with the letter in my hand. Mr. Henderson was waiting for me. What's that? Evidence. I forgot I had it. What kind of evidence? The kind that ends this trial. The judge took her seat. The jury filed in. My father was brought in. My mother sat in her usual spot. The prosecutor gave his closing argument. He laid out the evidence. The forged signature, the security footage, the testimony, the lies. The defense gave his closing argument. He painted my father as a desperate man who made a terrible mistake. He asked for mercy. He asked for probation. Then the judge turned to me. Miss Flores, you have something you wish to submit? Yes, Your Honor. I have a document that was not previously entered into evidence. It's a letter from my grandmother, Rosa Flores. It was written 6 months before she died. It's notarized. It's signed. And it changes everything. The judge looked at the prosecutor. The prosecutor shrugged. I'll allow it. Bring it forward. I walked to the clerk. I handed her the letter. She read it. Her eyes widened. She handed it to the judge. The judge read it. Her face didn't change, but something flickered behind her eyes. This letter, the judge said, states that Rosa Flores explicitly disinherited her son, Carlos Flores, and her daughter-in-law, Sylvia Flores. It states that her sole heir is her granddaughter, Elena Maria Flores. It states that any attempt to contest the will or transfer the property without Elena's consent is invalid. And it states that Rosa Flores was aware of the potential for fraud and wanted this document to serve as a warning. She looked at my father. Mr. Flores, did you know about this letter? My father's face was white.
No.
I didn't. Your mother wrote this letter. She had it notarized. She made her wishes clear. And you ignored them. You forged your daughter's signature. You sold her inheritance. You committed fraud. I didn't know about the letter. Ignorance is not a defense. She turned to the jury. The court will now instruct the jury on the law. You will deliberate and reach a verdict. But I want you to know that this letter is admissible evidence. It speaks to the intent of the decedent. It speaks to the knowledge of the defendant. You will consider it in your deliberations. The jury was sent out. We waited. 3 hours later, the jury returned. The foreman stood. He handed a piece of paper to the judge. The judge read it. Her face was unreadable. We, the jury, find the defendant, Carlos Flores, guilty of forgery of a financial instrument, a second-degree felony. My mother screamed. My father dropped his head. We recommend a sentence of 5 years in state prison, probated for 3 years, with restitution in the amount of $187,000 to the victim, Elena Flores. The judge nodded. The court accepts the jury's recommendation. Mr. Flores, you are sentenced to 5 years in state prison, suspended for 3 years of probation. You will pay restitution to your daughter in the amount of $187,000. You will have no contact with her except as required for the payment of restitution. You will perform 500 hours of community service. You will attend financial counseling. If you violate any of these terms, you will serve the full 5 years in prison. My father didn't say anything. He just stared at the floor. The bailiff led him away. My mother sat in her seat, crying alone. And I sat in the front row, holding my grandmother's letter, feeling something I hadn't felt in a long time.
Peace.
The guilty verdict landed like a stone in still water. Ripples spread everywhere. My mother stopped calling. My brother stopped texting. My father was processed and released on probation the same day. He walked out of the courthouse in his orange jumpsuit, then changed into clothes my mother had brought.
He didn't look at me.
He didn't say goodbye. He just got into her car, and they drove away. I stood on the courthouse steps, alone, holding my grandmother's letter. Mr. Henderson came up beside me. You did the right thing. It doesn't feel like the right thing. It feels like the end of something. It is the end of something. The end of pretending. The end of being invisible. The end of letting them take from you. That's not nothing. What happens now? Now we enforce the restitution. The court will garnish his wages. If he doesn't pay, he goes to jail. It's not a fast process, but it's a process. And the house? What about the Thompsons? The sale is void. The forged deed is invalid. The property legally belongs to you. The Thompsons have been notified. Their attorney is advising them to vacate voluntarily. If they don't, we'll file for eviction. I don't want to evict them. They didn't do anything wrong. I understand, but the law is clear. You can't keep a property that was sold to you fraudulently. They'll have to pursue your parents for their money back. My parents don't have the money. That's not your problem. Your problem is getting your house back. Everything else is secondary.
He was right.
But I still felt bad for the Thompsons. They had bought a home in good faith. They had moved their family. They had painted the walls and planted flowers. And now they were being told to leave. I asked Mr. Henderson to give me their phone number. I called Linda Thompson that evening. Mrs. Thompson, this is Elena Flores, the woman whose parents sold you my house. I know who you are. Your lawyer has been in touch with ours. I'm not calling to fight. I'm calling to figure something out. What is there to figure out? We're being evicted from a house we paid for. We have nowhere to go. I know. And I'm sorry. This isn't your fault. It's my parents' fault. They committed fraud. They forged my signature. You're the victim of that fraud just as much as I am. That doesn't help us find a new place to live. I know. Which is why I want to make you an offer. What kind of offer? I'm not going to evict you. Not right away. You can stay in the house for 6 months, rent-free. During that time, you can look for a new home. You can save your money. You can figure out your next steps. And after 6 months? After 6 months, I'm taking my house back.
I'm sorry.
I wish I could give you more time, but that house is all I have. It's all my grandmother had. I can't lose it again. She was quiet for a long time. That's more than we expected. Thank you. Don't thank me. It's the least I can do. What about the money we paid? The $187,000. That's between you and my parents. I can't help you there, but I can give you the name of my lawyer. He can advise you on how to pursue them. They don't have the money, do they?
No.
They don't. So we're out $187,000.
I'm sorry.
She started crying. Quietly. The kind of crying that comes from exhaustion, not shock. This was supposed to be our dream home. We were going to retire here. We were going to watch our grandchildren play in the backyard. I know.
I'm sorry.
If I could change it, I would. But I can't. It's not your fault. It's theirs. I know. We hung up. I sat in my small room, staring at the wall. The Thompsons were victims. My parents were criminals. And I was caught in the middle, trying to hold on to the only thing my grandmother had left me. The 6 months passed slowly. The Thompsons found a new house in May. A smaller house. In a different neighborhood. They moved out on the 1st of June. They left the house clean. They left a note on the kitchen counter. Elena, we're sorry for what your parents did to you. We're sorry for what happened to us. We hope you find peace in this house. It deserves to be loved. The Thompsons. I stood in the empty living room. The walls were a different color now.
Beige.
My grandmother had preferred yellow. The floors were the same. Hardwood. Scratched in places. The kitchen cabinets were still yellow. The stove still leaned to the left. I walked through every room. The bedroom where I had slept as a child. The bathroom where my grandmother had helped me brush my hair. The backyard where the pecan tree still stood, older now, thicker. I sat on the back porch. The same porch where my grandmother had sat every morning, drinking coffee, watching the sun rise. I'm back, abuela, I whispered. I'm sorry it took so long. The wind blew through the pecan tree. The leaves rustled. I pretended it was her answer. I moved back into the house in July. It was strange at first, sleeping in a room that wasn't mine, waking up to walls that weren't the color I remembered, cooking on a stove that still leaned to the left. But it was mine. No one could take it from me now. Not my parents. Not a judge. Not a jury. Not a forged signature. I painted the living room yellow. My grandmother's yellow. The color she had loved. I hung her photos on the walls. Her wedding picture. A photo of her as a young woman standing in front of this very house. A photo of me and her at my high school graduation, both of us smiling. I planted flowers in the front yard. Marigolds. Her favorite. And I started to breathe. My father paid the restitution. Not all at once.
$50 a week.
Taken from his paycheck, before he ever saw it. It would take years to reach $187,000. Decades, maybe. But he was paying. For the first time in his life, he was paying.
He didn't call. He didn't write.
He didn't apologize again. I didn't expect him to. He had said his piece. He had confessed. He had been convicted. There was nothing left to say. My mother didn't call either. I heard from Diego that she had started going to therapy, that she was trying to understand why she had chosen him over me, why she had lied under oath, why she had spent her life protecting the wrong person. She's different, Diego said. Quieter. She doesn't make excuses anymore. That's good. She wants to see you. She won't say it, but I can tell. I'm not ready. I know. I told her that. How are you, Diego?
I'm okay.
I'm working. A real job. Construction. It's hard, but I like it. I like being tired at the end of the day. I like knowing I earned something. I'm proud of you. Don't be. Not yet. I still have a long way to go. That's why I'm proud. Because you're trying.
Yeah, well.
I learned from you. He hung up. I stared at the phone. My brother was trying. My mother was in therapy. My father was paying restitution. None of it erased what they had done. None of it gave me back the years I had lost. But it was something. A start. The same start I had asked for years ago. In September, I received a letter. Handwritten. In my mother's shaky script.
Elena.
I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't expect you to answer this letter. But I need to write it. I need to say the things I should have said years ago. I was wrong. About everything. About Diego. About your father. About you. I spent your whole life trying to keep the peace. I thought if I just gave Diego what he wanted, he would stop causing trouble. I thought if I just ignored you, you would stop needing things I couldn't give. I was wrong. I didn't keep the peace. I destroyed it. You were the best thing in my life. And I didn't see you. I didn't see you because I was too busy looking at the problems, at the chaos, at the child who demanded my attention while you quietly took care of yourself. You deserved better. You deserved a mother who saw you, a mother who fought for you, a mother who chose you. I'm sorry I wasn't that mother. I'm sorry I can't go back and change it. I'm sorry I lied in court. I'm sorry I tried to make you look like the villain. I was scared. I was ashamed. That's not an excuse. It's just the truth. If you ever want to see me, I'll be here. If you don't, I'll understand. Either way, I love you. I always have. I just didn't know how to show it. Mom, I read the letter 3 times. Then I folded it and put it in the shoebox, next to my grandmother's letter, next to the evidence of what I had lost and what I had fought to keep. I didn't respond. Not that day. Not that week. Not that month. But I kept the letter. And I didn't throw it away. The first anniversary of the trial came and went. I was 33 years old. I had a house.
A job.
A life. Not the life I had imagined, but a life.
Meaning?
The Thompsons had settled in a new town. I didn't know where. I hoped they were happy. My father was still paying restitution. $50 a week. He had missed 2 payments. The court had threatened to revoke his probation. He had made them up the next week. My mother was still in therapy. Diego called me once a month. We talked about nothing important. The weather.
His job.
My garden.
We didn't talk about the past.
We didn't need to. The past was a wound that was still healing. We couldn't touch it without pain. In December, I did something I hadn't done in years. I went to church. Not because I was religious. Because my grandmother had been. Because she had sat in the same pew every Sunday for 40 years. Because I wanted to feel close to her. The church was small.
Old.
The paint was peeling. The pews were worn smooth from generations of use. I sat in the back. I didn't pray. I just sat, listening to the silence. After a while, an old woman sat down next to me. She had gray hair and kind eyes. She smelled like lavender. You're Rosa's granddaughter, aren't you?
Yes.
How did you know? You have her eyes. Her hands. I've known this church for 50 years. I've seen every family come and go. The Flores family was always complicated. That's one word for it. Your grandmother loved you very much. She talked about you all the time. Elena is going to college. Elena got a promotion. Elena is the only one who visits. She was so proud of you. Y mis hija. Of course you do. She was the best of that family. The only one who worked for what she had. The only one who didn't take shortcuts. She used to clean houses. For 30 years. I know. She cleaned mine. Twice a month. She never complained. She never asked for more than she was paid. She just worked. The old woman patted my hand. You're going to be okay, Mija. You have her strength. You have her stubbornness. You have her heart. She stood up. She walked away. I sat in the pew for a long time, staring at the cross, staring at the light coming through the stained glass windows. And for the first time in a long time, I felt like I wasn't alone. In March, I received a call from Mr. Henderson. Elena, I have good news. I could use some. The restitution payments have been increased. Your father got a new job. Better pay. The court approved a higher garnishment. $200 a week now. That's good. It's more than good. At this rate, the debt will be paid off in 18 years instead of 40. 18 years is still a long time. It's better than 40. And there's something else.
What?
The notary, Mrs. Pena, has agreed to a settlement. Her insurance is paying you $50,000 for her negligence. It's not a lot, but it's something. I don't want her money. She made a mistake. She didn't mean to hurt anyone. She made a professional error that cost you your home for nearly a year. You're entitled to compensation. I don't want to be entitled. I want to move on. Then take the money. Donate it. Use it to fix up the house. Put it in savings for your retirement.
Do whatever you want with it.
But take it. You've earned it. He was right. I took the money. I used it to fix the roof, to replace the stove, to paint the kitchen cabinets, to buy a new porch swing. My grandmother would have approved. The years passed. I didn't keep track. I didn't mark anniversaries. I just lived. I turned 35, then 36, then 37. The house on Laurel Street became mine in every way that mattered. Not just legally, emotionally, spiritually. I could walk through every room and feel my grandmother's presence. In the kitchen, where she had cooked. In the garden, where she had planted marigolds. In the backyard, where she had sat under the pecan tree. I didn't see my parents. I didn't call them. They didn't call me. Diego kept in touch. He got married. A woman named Rosa, named after our grandmother. He asked me to come to the wedding. I went.
It was a small ceremony.
In a backyard. Not our grandmother's backyard. A different one. But the spirit was the same. My mother was there. My father was not. He was working.
Or so Diego said.
My mother saw me across the lawn. She didn't approach. She didn't wave.
She just looked at me.
Her eyes were wet. I nodded. She nodded back. It wasn't forgiveness. It wasn't reconciliation. It was acknowledgement. Two people who had hurt each other, standing in the same place, breathing the same air, not fighting. It was enough. Diego's first child was born a year later. A girl. They named her Elena. I cried when I heard. Are you okay with that? Diego asked.
I'm honored.
She's going to know about you, about what happened, about what I did. I'm not going to hide it. She's going to need to know that people can change, that you can make terrible mistakes and still become someone better. Is that true? Do you believe that? I believe you're trying. That's all any of us can do. I never got married. I never had children. Some people thought that was sad. They asked if I regretted it. They asked if I was lonely. I wasn't. I had my house. I had my garden. I had my memories. I had my peace. And peace, I had learned, was better than love. Love could betray you. Love could lie to you. Love could forge your signature and sell your inheritance. Peace just was. On the 10th anniversary of the trial, I sat on my porch swing. The pecan tree was taller now. The marigolds were blooming. The sun was setting. I thought about my grandmother, about her cracked hands, about her aching back, about the 30 years she spent cleaning other people's houses. I thought about my parents, about the choices they made, about the pain they caused, about the apologies that came too late. I thought about Diego, about the brother who had finally grown up, about the niece who carried my name. I thought about myself, about the girl who had been invisible, about the woman who had fought to be seen. And I smiled, not because everything was perfect, not because I had forgiven everyone, not because the past didn't hurt anymore, because I had survived, because I had my house, because I had my grandmother's letter, Because I had proved that you couldn't steal from me and walk away. Because I was Elena Maria Flores. And I was not invisible anymore. Here's what I want you to know. If you're watching this and you see yourself in my story, the one who was betrayed, the one who was stolen from, the one who had to fight for what was rightfully theirs, hear me. You are not what they took from you. You are not the inheritance they stole. You are not the signature they forged. You are not the house they sold. You are the one who kept going. The one who hired a lawyer. The one who sat in that courtroom. The one who didn't give up. You are the one who survived. And survival is not pretty. It's not clean. It's not a movie where the bad guys go to jail and the good girl rides off into the sunset. Survival is messy. It's years of legal fees and sleepless nights and crying in empty rooms. It's watching your father be led away in handcuffs. It's reading a letter from your mother and not knowing how to respond. But survival is also yours. No one can take it from you. Not the parents who betrayed you. Not the brother who took everything. Not the system that moved too slowly. You survived. And that is the only victory that matters. My name is Elena Flores. I'm 42 years old. I live in my grandmother's house on Laurel Street. I have a garden full of marigolds and a porch swing that creaks in the wind. I don't have a perfect family. I don't have a happy ending. But I have my house. I have my peace. I have myself. And that is enough. That is more than enough. If this story resonated with you, if you've ever been betrayed by the people who were supposed to protect you, leave a comment. Tell me, what did you fight for? Thank you for listening. I'll see you next time.